Yo, morning, welcome to the channel. So this is an additional part on for the garden job that we've been doing outside, where I've fitted loads of sockets and things like that. And I did say on that video that we've got the board to change, and there's a reason why, because this is a brand new board that I've now got to change. So on this job, the board was already changed as previous electrician had already carried out all the electrical work for the sockets and made an absolute hash of it all. Hence the reason why I was here to sort it all out. Now, you might think, am I being a bit harsh? Well, in my eyes, no. So the customer, he knows what he wants. He knows a lot about the electrical work and the regulations, but he just physically can't do it, right? And it's never been about money, he just wants the best possible job done. And I'm gonna go and show you the board now, and you make up your mind. Now, bear in mind, this is brand spanking new, and there's never been a question on what, costings and things like that. It's just purely a poor installation. So, I'll grab a couple of bits out. I'm gonna go and show you. So, starting off at the meter. So, this meter cupboard has got a big gaping hole in it. Again, wasn't brought up, but the plastic window is here. So the plastic window, I'm going to try and glue that back on for the customer, because as it stands, because if you saw the previous video, I got absolutely drenched because some freak storm came through and it was like being hit with a jet wash. It was horrible. So that is going to get lots of water in there. So we do need to sort that out. So we have got an 80 amp incoming supply. So we've got an 80 amp incoming supply. We're on a single supply, not a looped supply, which is fantastic. Not that it makes any difference too much on this one. It is a TNCS system. So we've got our earthing coming through, and we've got a mains isolator, which is perfect, plus a feather. So this board has been put in here. So downstairs loo. And this is the board location. Now, you may be able to see that covers the window, because obviously the old board was a lot smaller and all the rest of it, but it covers over the window. Also, I've got fixing holes so I can get stuff in the back of there if I want to. But look at this. So we've got a massive hole in the side because they've used the knockout, wrong grommet and all the rest of it. Also, brand new board, no surge protection whatsoever. And this is a very, very rural property. So it should have been put on. The customer specified Luden, that's what he wanted. He's a Luden's going in. So let's take the board cover off and have a look what state it's in inside. So I'm gonna try and do this one-handed, so we've just isolated that all off, and here we go. Ooh, she is delicious. So, as you can tell, now bear in mind, there's nothing in the regs about neatness, right? Doesn't matter about that, no one cares. The problem is what you've got. We've got quite a lot of bits like this. So we've got exposed copper, not terminated. Now, obviously I can't see right now because I'm on my tippy toes and I don't really know what state that's in. But these also, what they're wired in, right, they don't actually match what's labelled up either. So that's great. So the gland, so it looks even worse from this side. So the gland itself, nothing actually is fitted on there at all. So the gland is completely pointless. It doesn't do anything. It's just rubbish. So we need to whip all this out. The idea is now, is I'm going to locate the new board down here. So for example, we have got our 10 amp, which is now feeding outdoor sockets and things like that, which was never actually the case. It should have been the 20. There's no reason for that to be like that, and in fairness, it actually has caused problems for the customer. We've got some exposed copper that's not in the termination properly. It's just essentially a mess. I mean, I think anyone can else agree that that is a mess. Bearing in mind, you can still see through. So there's the fixing holes, and buzz bar. Yeah? So all making sense now. So after discussing with the customer what they want to do and giving options, I said, look, I can change the location because that board location's stupid. It really is a stupid place to have that. And I get why he's done it, but the problem is it's from the old board, which was obviously much smaller, to now what they are. They're just a bigger unit. I get it. But if he'd spoke to the customers and said, look, this is the situation, we need to move this, they would have said, yeah, okay, fine. not a problem. So this is what's led me to believe. Because obviously what we're now doing is we're now changing the board. Okay, so we're now putting another Luden board in, but one with a surge protection device, which is that one. So if you don't know what that is, so I'm going to put a new one in. Obviously we've got no holes in it as yet. So yeah, so what he's doing is knocked that massive one out, wrong size with the tails gland. Rookie move. And then what I'm going to do at the top where that comes up, we're going to put some trunking in and extend up and all the rest of it and get rid of all that. But that is the new board location where I've just drilled the holes. Gets it out the way, we can then strip all this out, extend what we need to, because there is quite a big void above here, because obviously this is a false ceiling as such. So we've got quite a bit of slack and stuff. I can gain access above, so we can put some wireless, maintenance-free junction boxes in where we need to. But first and foremost, I'm going to strip all this out, and I'm also going to use the lock-off devices to lock that main switch off, which is highly, highly important, because obviously I can't see if somebody comes out there what they're doing. They can undo it, they can turn it back on, they can do anything, and basically end my day. Which would be not very nice, would it? So we'll lock that off. I've got to use two hands, so bear with. So there she is, just locked out. An essential piece of kit to keep you alive and be able to go home and see your family, which is fantastic. So, job for me now, I'm going to go and strip that board out, mark everything up. So with that, I'm going to use classic Sharpie just to mark all my circuits as they are now. So I've got some sort of remnants of I know what's what-ish. Strip it all out. We're going to reuse the RCBOs as much as we can, because like I say, they are brand new, like brand new. And as you can understand, they don't want the electrician back who's done this job originally, and completely understand that. So strip it all out, using the RCBOs where we can. I have got some additional ones to put the right ones in the right places. But yeah, so that is the plan. So if you're new to the channel, you haven't yet subscribed, and you've picked up one little tip from this, make sure you do, and I'm going to get stripping. So as I'm stripping out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you things as I sort of discover them, if that makes any sense. I think that might be the best way. Now obviously it's not ideal, I've got a GU10 smacking me in the head. So on this circuit, whatever that is, so I've got a multi-strand cable there. They've ferruled one side, but not the other. It's stuff like that that screams weirdness. Don't know why they've done it, but obviously multi-strand wire like that, because obviously it's, so if you don't know what that is, that's like, you see how that's really thin? Whereas if you've got, let me find that 6mm that. So that 6mm won't require a ferrule, because that's on the different classification as this, where this is obviously the fine multi-strand wire needs to be ferruled. Really, really important, and especially for this customer, because he comes from like the marine electrical world where everything needs to be ferruled. And yeah, so something like that really will, you know, I know because he watched this, will really annoy him. But don't worry, it'll be done with ferrules, don't you worry. Okay, so we've now stripped all of the RCBOs out, so that's all good. So it's almost like it never happened. And now I've just straightened up the cables a little bit, so we'll have a little look-see. So what we've got, I've just cut the tails off, in fairness, because don't really need those in there. So we've got a couple of joins which we'll be able to, we'll just obviously, because we've got to join all this anyway, because some will pull. We've got some slack on here, but I mean, like I say, this, that might even reach the new board, who knows. But what I'm going to do, we'll get this all out now, but you can start to see a few little bits. So like there's no grommet strip around it, and I know some of you in the comments, so you're being really fussy, it's not a requirement, this, that and the other. Bruh. But surely you would want a better job than a poor job. Do you know what I mean? And that's what sometimes it baffles me with comments. It really does. I mean, the guy said to me the other day, he goes, I'm an electrical engineer and there's nothing wrong with this board that I changed, right? Now, it drives me mental. I mean, he's either not watched the video at all or watched the end. It doesn't make any sense, because the board that I changed on that particular video, right, mix match of breakers, all right, I've got holes drilled through wires, like like you got your neutral feeds and things like that. I've got a mackled board, bits falling out of it, exposed copper everywhere. There's just loads of bits. Smashed board, got holes drilled through the back. I've got you can just flap about all the parts, but yet he thinks that's okay and deems that it's okay to then message on there to say that there's no need to change that. What planet are you on? And if he's an electrical engineer doing designs, Jesus, you no wonder we're in a mess. That's what really annoys me. And I'm not the only one. There's others, obviously loads of other Sparks that do the channel, do channels like, and it's just stupid. I just think you're making stupid comments. I don't really understand it. I mean, I'm all for a valid comment, 100%, because everything's about learning, but wow. I mean, like you say, here, options are, like say I can put a new grommet in the side. They've still got to remove it. It's still in a bad location. It's still not the right thing to do. So obviously I've discussed all this with the customer, and the new location is better than doing this. But yeah, I thought I'd just have a little rant about that. And I do find it a little bit bonkers what people seem to think is okay and satisfactory. And would you have that in your house? Which leads me to think maybe you do loads of rubbish work at your own house. But hey, so we're going to strip that out now. And then I can start getting some trunking made up and then start sort of neating everything up. But we're going to change the tails as well because we don't want to join those. That's ridiculous. Other thing that I need to now double check on is the bonding to the gas, because it has got mains gas here. And I need to check that because I've only got one lead in, so it's got to be connected somewhere. So I'm going to go and double check the gas meter and see what we've got going on. So I'm outside obviously at the gas meter now. The other side of this is the mains water isolator, and I know that is bonded. Okay, so I've got nothing in here. The ideal place for it would be on here, but it's got to be within 600 mil of the, basically here. I mean, how far do you go? You get 600 mil of the mains isolator or 600 mil from the actual meter? Who knows? So I'll have to pull the fridge further forward and just verify that there is a continuous path loop through, and we can do, and we will do, a continuity test with the wandering lead, with the tester as well, just to make sure and verify everything is all hunky of the dory, because, you know, you want to make sure it's all bob on. It's a bit of a weird rust stain, look, down there. Odd. It's probably from a fixing that has got left in and not been removed, and then it's just leached out on the wall. So fixings for the board. So there was one up there, and then there is that one there. There's nothing else. So I know you might be thinking, oh yeah, there's a fixing that. There isn't. There's nothing in that. So this corner, would you class that as being secure? I mean, I know obviously you got one up there, and I get that. You know, the more you look at it, the more it's all screaming not right, isn't it? Okay? Everybody's gonna have an opinion. So I've just temporarily mounted the new board in situ. So we now need to sort out some trunking for along here, right? So we're gonna use 100 by 50, but what I need to do is figure out the angle of the dangle, okay? So from the roof line all the way through. So for this, we're gonna use an angle finder made by Holterforce. It's brilliant because all you gotta do then is just transfer this through, because you need to try and get the pitch right to make sure that you have a nice, neat job. So what I've done is just set my table up outside here, which is like here. So table set up, I've got the 100 by 50, and what I've done essentially is you use that as your top guide reference, because that is the length going across, yeah? And then we have transferred that pitch angle for the roof line, which is actually the stairwell. So it will probably be somewhere around the 42 degree angle, something like that. And then transfer your square cut lines there and there. So when I cut that off, that should be a perfect angle match to that roof line, which will be great. So here goes. So we've got a nice clean cut line here. So yes, tiny bit. If you want to be, you know, judgy, tiny little bit. Nice little cut line all the way through. To that, now we need to measure our length, and we should be good to go. Okay, so we're a little bit further on now, and it's been a little bit stressful. So we've got all the trunking done. So we have got the new trunking up and it's dropped down, and then we're going to we're going to put an end cap on here. A new board location is in, so that's good. So what I'm now going to do is get our meter tails run in now, get them in and drop them in out the way, so they're done, because they historically are the most awkward ones, in fairness. So we're going to use the flexi tails, which are these ones. So these are the flexi tails that we're going to use, because they obviously got quite a few radiuses and all the rest of it, and it will make life a lot easier. But while I've just come outside, I'll show you this. So this has took out the board as it was, and you can see where the gland, I haven't even undone that, and it's took it straight out. Now, I wonder, the moment that the Sparky realised that's not going to fit, I wonder how much stress he went under to think, oh my God, what am I going to do? Just need to get out of here, get paid, and forget this ever happened. And that's pretty much what's happened, I think. So get these meter tails in, and then yeah, it's been a bit stressful. A lot of stuff going on to try and make it all happen, and it's a little bit tight in there. And I want a cup of tea, so I need to get the power back on. As you can probably gather, I've got the power on. So I am way ahead of when the last time you spoke to me. No, I spoke to you. You spoke to me. I spoke to you. That's right. And the reason behind that is purely because time was dragging on, and I had to take a bit of a decent phone call, which took a long time. I need the power on. So this is where we're at. Power is on, juiced up. So let's go through it. So like I said, I've never fitted a Luden board before. It's not my usual go-to whatsoever. I think we all know what I normally fit, but this, again, customer specified. I didn't realise I was actually changing the board at all. He thought I was just going to grab it from up there and move it down, but I wouldn't have been able to do that, purely because we've got a massive knockout here and it just looks unsightly. And I thought, do you know what, we're going to start again. We've got the surge protection device as well on this, and let's do it properly once and for all. So I've wired this up as a different way to what I normally would. So normally, as you've seen, if you've followed the channel already, I normally push the cables down the back and then swoop over the top. But this way, I thought, do you know what? I'm going to go slightly different. New board, new me and all that. And I thought I'll just try and mix it up a little bit. Now, there's pros and cons on the board, but obviously this does save the customer a fair bit of money, because all the RCBOs and stuff, we can reuse everything, which is great. Because obviously it all just comes down to cost, because he's already paid out for this once. So I've got a load of fill-in to do, but the trunking wise is all sorted. I'm going to glue that glass back on out there. So I'm going to glue that back onto the board, well, the meter cupboard. But yeah, so it's been a bit of a journey, and obviously we've had the power off for such a long time, which has meant I've not been able to have a cup of tea. And now the power is back on, the lovely client has made me a tea straight away. So that's fantastic. So meter tails is obviously all back in place, but obviously you can probably gather it's all a little bit of a mess. So a big tidy up now, and then I can start getting on with all the labelling. But like I say, it was all a little bit hodgepodge. So I'm going to stick some of the labels on, but not complete it, because obviously I've got more work here at a later date to do, which will be next week now. I've got some stuff outside to do, and I've got some stuff some sockets in the bedrooms to sort out, some stuff on the landing, stuff in the porch, and then I've got to change this here. So that lantern up there, that's got to be changed. But if you can notice there, that's the wiring for it, which is armoured, ran up, and then it's not terminated correctly. There you go, bit of focus. It's not terminated correctly, and that just comes down to the block paving. And then I've also got that lantern there to change. So that bollard's got to go. And I've also got no continuity of earth to there either. So there's fault finding for that as well. But what we decided with the client is we're not going to go too mad with it, because it's so old and knackered anyway, that we thought, right, well, if I take it down, chances are it's not going to go back together, if that makes any sense. So we decided that new one's going to be fitted, and then we can do all the testing and all the rest of it in one go. So time for a square up now. We'll get rid of all the junk, have a bit of a hoover around before we go any further. But like I said, you can't do this sort of job without making a bit of a mess. It's impossible. But it is a little bit frustrating, because I hate working around in that much chaos. So one of the things I said earlier on in the video, that I will try and fix this bit of perspex on here, because obviously we've got a bit of a weather concern, it is very rural here, and I need to sort of make sure that I can get this in secured as best I can. So what I'm going to do is run a bead of silicone round, glue it on, and then tape it, and hopefully that should do it. Right, you may have noticed I'm not exactly using the nozzle, and that's because it's solid. It looks a bit specialist doing that, I admit, and it's just tickled me a little bit. So I bet you guys are thinking, what the hell are you doing? But need must, boys. Glazing at the finest there. I mean, the customer hasn't asked me to do this at all. It's just, I just thought it'd be nice and do it. You know what I mean? How kind of me, how sweet of me. I know what you're thinking. Just perfect timing as well, because the rain's coming now. Beautiful. Lovely, lovely job. Yeah, so I just had a phone call from Steve, and annoyingly, I'm gonna have to go because he's on our big site. And I'll tell you what, I'll take you over there with me. He's on our big site, right? And there's basically a delivery for one of the sky lanterns, and basically it's 250 kg, and it's stuck out on the drive. So naturally, he's rang me to say, I need you to come over and give us a lift, because as you can imagine, that is pretty weighty. So yeah, annoyingly. So I'm gonna have to tidy everything up and then do one. And then I've got to shoot all the way from here, which is about a 40-minute drive, over to Rugby. Fantastic. But hey ho, power's on. That is the main thing. Done a good deed. And it's just started raining. So as you can probably gather, I've got a little bit of tidying up to do, which I've now got to do and sort out. Because then I've got to shoot off, because it is 3:30. Brilliant. So you may have gathered that I'm not on site. Now, the problem is when I got there, he was absolutely hammering it down. And I mean biblical. I mean, obviously we already saw I've got soaked, right? And yeah, it was ridiculously heavy and there was no time to waste. Just need to get it in. Everyone was standing there waiting. We managed to get it in, but there is absolutely zero chance of getting that up onto the roof without a crane. So join us, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, and you will see that magic when it happens. Catch you later.